Imagine a world where every once in a while, life throws an unexplainable mystery your way. Something so profound, it stops you in your tracks. That's exactly what happened to Jonathan Cross, a self-made millionaire known for his business prowess and jet-setting lifestyle. Jonathan wasn't someone who believed in fate or coincidences until the day he came face to face with a striking resemblance of his late girlfriend in the most unexpected place. This story is filled with mystery, loss, and an encounter that would change his life forever. Jonathan had always been a hard-working man, rising early, managing his extensive properties, and running a successful real estate empire. To most, he seemed invincible, a man who had everything. But Jonathan had a past, one he rarely shared with others. Years ago, he'd been deeply in love with a woman named Amelia, a free-spirited artist with a passion for life. Amelia had been the light in his otherwise busy and controlled world. They had made plans, dreamed of a life together, and he had even been ready to leave everything for her. But, tragically, Amelia had passed away in a car accident just a few days before their engagement. The loss of Amelia had devastated Jonathan, and though he moved on outwardly, the memories lingered, haunting him in quiet moments. It was as if a piece of his heart had been forever closed off, sealed by grief. He continued to build his empire, throwing himself into work and becoming one of the most respected figures in his field. But deep down, a part of him was still frozen in time with Amelia. One particular day, Jonathan decided to visit his country estate, a place he often used to escape the stresses of city life. It was a grand property with lush gardens, sprawling lawns, and an air of tranquility that he cherished. As he walked around the estate, admiring the roses that Amelia had once loved, something strange caught his eye. There, among the gardeners, was a young woman. But she wasn't just any gardener. She bore an uncanny resemblance to Amelia. Jonathan froze, his heart pounding as he watched her. She wore a simple gardening outfit, her hair tied back, with strands falling over her face as she carefully tended to the plants. For a moment, he felt transported back in time. The resemblance was undeniable, from her features to her grace. And what struck him the most was the necklace she wore, a locket identical to one he had given Amelia years ago. Jonathan couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was a man of logic, a man who didn't believe in ghosts or apparitions. But this was something else. Curiosity got the best of him, and he approached her, his voice catching as he said, "Excuse me, but have we met before?" The young woman looked up, her eyes meeting his with a calm, gentle expression. She seemed momentarily taken aback by his presence, but quickly regained her composure. "No, sir," she replied, her voice soft but clear. "I'm new here. My name is Emily." The name sent a shiver down his spine. Emily and Amelia. So close. "I couldn't help but notice," he continued, trying to keep his voice steady. "Your necklace. Where did you get it?" Emily's hand instinctively moved to the locket around her neck. She hesitated before answering, as if recalling a distant memory. "It was my mother's," she said finally. "She passed it down to me. It's one of the few things I have of hers." Jonathan's mind was racing. Could it be possible that this young woman was somehow connected to Amelia? Could she be family? But Amelia had never mentioned having any children or even a sister. He wanted to ask more, but he didn't want to alarm Emily. The resemblance alone was overwhelming, and he didn't want to scare her away. Over the next few weeks, Jonathan found himself spending more time at the estate, visiting the gardens under the pretense of overseeing the landscaping work. He was drawn to Emily, not just because of her resemblance to Amelia, but because of her calm demeanor and the kindness she radiated. She seemed wise beyond her years, and in her presence, Jonathan felt a warmth he hadn't experienced since Amelia's passing. One evening, as the sun was setting, Jonathan found himself sitting on a bench near the garden, lost in thought. To his surprise, Emily joined him, sitting quietly by his side. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sky change colors. Eventually, Jonathan spoke, sharing memories of Amelia with her. He talked about how Amelia had loved flowers, especially roses, and how she'd once dreamed of having a garden just like this one. Emily listened attentively, her eyes reflecting a deep empathy. She seemed to understand his pain, even though she'd never met Amelia. "Sometimes people we love leave us," she said softly, "but I believe they never truly go away. They live on in our hearts, in the things they loved, and in the people who come into our lives." Her words struck Jonathan to the core. It was as if Amelia herself was speaking to him, reassuring him after all these years. He looked at Emily, feeling an overwhelming urge to know more about her family, her history, everything. He gently asked if she knew anything more about her mother, hoping for any connection, any clue. Emily hesitated, as if debating whether to share. Finally, she took a deep breath and told him that her mother had passed away when she was young, and she'd been raised by her grandmother. She didn't know much about her mother's past, only that she'd been a free-spirited woman with a love for art and nature. Hearing this, Jonathan felt a strange confirmation, a sense that fate had brought Emily to his estate, perhaps even to him. Unable to hold back any longer, he revealed to Emily his connection to Amelia, telling her about the woman he'd loved so deeply and lost so tragically. He explained how Amelia had worn a locket identical to Emily's, a gift he'd given her. Emily listened in shock, and as he spoke, a look of realization dawned on her face. "My grandmother once told me that my mother had a great love, a man she planned to marry. But something happened, and they were separated," Emily whispered. "I always wondered who he was, what he was like." Jonathan's heart was racing. Could Amelia have somehow known she was pregnant before they separated? Could Emily be his daughter? The thought was overwhelming, filling him with both hope and fear. He didn't want to press her, but he suggested they take a DNA test to confirm what he was beginning to believe in his heart. The wait for the results was agonizing, each day stretching on like an eternity. Jonathan couldn't focus on his work, his mind consumed with thoughts of Emily and Amelia. Finally, the results arrived, and they confirmed what he'd suspected: Emily was indeed his daughter. Jonathan was filled with emotions he hadn't felt in years. The girl he'd seen as a reminder of his lost love was, in fact, the greatest gift Amelia could have left him. In an instant, he felt a lifetime's worth of grief transform into gratitude. He had lost Amelia, but through Emily, he'd been given a second chance at love, a chance to honor Amelia's memory and connect with the daughter he never knew he had. When he shared the news with Emily, she was overwhelmed, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of it all. But Jonathan promised her that he would be there for her, that he would make up for lost time and support her in any way she needed. The two of them spent hours talking, sharing stories, and learning about each other. For Jonathan, it was as if the missing pieces of his life were finally falling into place. In the days that followed, Jonathan introduced Emily to his family, proudly sharing the news that she was his daughter. Emily, though initially shy, quickly became a beloved member of the family, her warmth and kindness touching everyone she met. And for Jonathan, the estate he'd once seen as just another asset transformed into a sanctuary, a place where he could be close to both Amelia's memory and the daughter she'd left behind. This story reminds us of the unpredictable nature of life and the power of love to bridge even the widest gaps. Jonathan had never imagined he'd find Amelia again, let alone through a daughter he'd never known. But life has a way of bringing people together, healing old wounds, and creating new beginnings in the most unexpected ways. Jonathan's story is a testament to the enduring bonds of love, the power of family, and the unexpected miracles life can offer when we least expect them. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that remind us of the beauty of human connection.